Today, we will be diving into the importance of education and why creating schools in our community is so important. We'll explore how education shapes our future and how we can build foundations that will empower our next generation. Let's dive into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am your host, Karen Larkin, and today is Empowering Our Future, the importance of education and creating schools in our community. And I have two amazing sisters with me that I am so excited to introduce. I have April and Deanna Thomas. Hello, ladies.
Hi, Karen.
And welcome.
Thank you for inviting us.
Welcome. I am so excited to have you as my guest today. And as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the empowering our future. And the importance of education and the importance of education in our community. And so before we get started, I'm going to allow these ladies to introduce themselves.
Well, my name is April Thomas.
And I'm Deanna.
Yeah, that's part two of me. And we are the owners of the Twins Academy, Inc., the Twins Academy Foundation, Twins View Book Series, a Prelate's Bougie Cuisine.
Wow!
Yes.
Anything you want to add?
Well, I would like to add that April and I are originally from Millersville, Georgia. We spent grades K-5 to sixth grade here in Millersville, where we attended West End Elementary. Our first 4 years, we were with Miss Brula and Miss Francis. We actually are alumni of those sisters. They had their
That was
own
our first homeschool.
precious homeschool. Mm-hmm. We were nurtured with a plethora of great people from Millersville, Georgia.
That's right.
Vacational Bible School, you name it. Moved to Hancock. We had the best of the best teachers in Hancock County.
It was like one big HBCU.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm just gonna dive in full force, because I'm eager to know as well. We know that you are the owners and founders of Twins Academy, and not to mention a plethora of things that you all do.
Yes.
But tell me, how did Twins Academy birth?
Wow.
A journey.
Well, back in 1998, let me start here about Twins Academy being birthed. We went to college, and even though we had strong leaders, we got to college and realized that there was a lot of deception academically. I was salutatorian of my high school, and she was right behind me in the top 10. But going to college, you realize we went to a PWI, which is University of West Georgia, and we realized that we were deceived in being prepared for school. So once we graduated with honors, we worked really hard to graduate, and we studied a lot, and we found out what was wrong. We had to learn and unlearn so much, And we realized that education truly does start at home. But when you don't have that background and people have a mentality that the schools have to do everything, then that's how the kids suffer, in our opinion. So we started teaching, and then 6 ideal parents saw our passion, and we had never heard of homeschooling. So we were going to move back home, actually, just to teach at home or something like that. But the beautiful thing is that these 6 parents recognized that we were ideal teachers, and they asked us to homeschool, and we turned my garage into a classroom over the weekend. Over the weekend, back
we
in
literally
1998.
quit our job, quit the system,
Walked away from
on
benefits.
a Friday, and we had an academy in her garage that Monday morning with 12 school-age kids.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So,
12?
Yes.
October
School-age-
1998.
12 school-age
children. Yes, and that was the beginning of Twins Academy.
Yeah.
So you started out homeschooling.
Yes.
And, moving into the 21st century, homeschooling has become a big thing now. And especially in our community. And our counterparts, they've been doing it for years.
Yes.
But it is now transcended into, our community. And as a parent, my children attended public school, but I had the privilege of being married to an educator. So I, not only that, but I also knew the importance of education. But tell me, even starting out with homeschooling, how did you guys still see the fact that you said, hey, we're going to take them on and we're going to walk away from our job?
First of all, our motto is with confidence, there's nothing to fear. Yeah. You can talk and words, hold power, but you truly get revelation once you get your feet wet. And as Thomas is, that's the motto of the Thomas family. You got to get your feet wet, okay, for you to find out what's going on with what you feel like you've been called to do. The pain of being delusional, being deceptive, and not really understanding history so we could understand the present, so we could prepare the kids' future. That was the hardest thing, because we had to learn and unlearn so much, and at the same time, simultaneously prepare these kids. And the nerves were all over the place, because the voices, you know how you have that good voice on one shoulder, and then you have the other thing on the other shoulder telling you, you can't do this. You're competing against the whole school system. All your friends, you feel like they're passing by as soon as you saw the school bus. You're like, wow, what are we doing? You need benefits, you need insurance, you need this, you need that. So we just got busy teaching. Once we saw the results, we kept going and going. We had to go to God. First of all, we had to literally find God for ourselves. We had to study history. And to answer your question, we used Abeka as a conduit for accreditation. The parents themselves were highly educated parents. So they found out what homeschooling was. We went through the Abeka curriculum. We started teaching, studying more than ever. It didn't matter that we had college degrees. We had to study all over again. Then by the time the kids got from pre-K to fifth grade, we were like, well, they're going to take them to public school now, right? But the parents, because they were so aware, okay, we collaborated, and we don't go against the system. We collaborate with the school system. So after pre-K through fifth grade, which we got our degrees in early childhood. So after believing and listening to God, we said, okay, you have a college degree, so you can teach these kids all the way to 12th grade. You can do it, but you're going to have to give up a whole lot of friends. You're going to have to give up a whole lot of your insecurities, and you're going to have to dive in and study harder than ever now.
Burn some midnight oil.
Yeah, you really do. So we put our goals and aspirations on the back burner to put these kids first. Okay, wow. That's the main thing. We made it all about them, because these parents were believing in us. So because we didn't understand, we understood homeschooling from the perspective of going to Miss Francis and Miss Beulah, because they stopped from pre-K to kindergarten. But to go all the way to 12th grade, that was the biggest challenge of all. So it has been rewarding helping these parents take the load off. But it does help when you have parents that are aware of what a quality education is, because that's why we've been able to make a big difference.
Well, she touched on everything I really wanted to say, but one thing that she forgot to really elaborate on is our passion for teaching truly came from not wanting our students to repeat what we had repeated. Okay. worked in the system for a short period. And when we felt it was impossible to teach in a productive, effective way, we had to create our own circumstance. And that was the true reality. And so when those 12 parents thought we were ideal teachers and we created Twins Academy, Inc., we just let it rip. We were able to teach the twins way. And 26 years later, here we are. How many graduates we have now?
We've helped over 300 students. And with only being able to take up to 40 students per year, it's like we've been recycling over and over. A lot of the kids that started with us at the age of 3, back in the day, we were able to do the daycare age. But now that we've been turned into a private homeschool, we are only allowed to take up to 40 students. So we call it a micro school, but our main thing, we really had, like I told you before, we had to really dig into history. And our favorite book became Up From Slavery. Okay. So that's why you hear me repeat all the time. We had to learn and unlearn so many, so many different untruths. When it comes to teaching the kids to be what it means to be self-reliant and take personal responsibility for your education. You will notice a lot of Twins Academy, I don't like to call them our product, but that's the only thing that comes to mind right now. But a lot of our students really get the concept of what Booker T. Washington was trying to convey. And I always talk about, it's 2025 now. I was about to say 2024, but it is January fresh. So it's 2025, and there is no reason why, when someone as great as Booker T. Washington was able to create Tuskegee, being born in the 1800s, the late 1800s.
Right.
So for him to have all that education, all that awareness, how in 2025 are we back in the same mindset of where a lot of our kids can't read and think? So one thing that has been so rewarding, regardless of how many people try to figure out, well, what about your retirement, twins? What about your life? These kids have given us a life.
Yes.
Because when you are purpose-driven, it's unspeakable joy that you can't explain to people who are in a carnal mind. And the results speak for themselves. We love, love, love our students. We are aware of who our first students are. Our oldest students are 33 years old. So the beauty that has come out of teaching the kids to be self-reliant and to take personal responsibility, but at the same time, understanding that the source, which is God, is still there to help them to understand that if someone like Booker T. Washington, in the circumstances back in the late 1800s, as an ex-slave, okay, if he could create the things that he could, then what is our problem in 2025?
There's actually no life in bamboozlement.
Wow.
If you really can, if you're true to yourselves like we were, we grew up obedient. Anybody who knows us, we attended school every single day, K-5 to 12th grade, went through college, and still graduated in a rudimentary way. And I'm not saying this like, we were just bamboozled. That's why I used the word bamboozled. And so we were going with the flow.
Yeah.
There was no true knowledge there. We were just obedient. Okay? And so if there wasn't now we had a value system, starting with our grandmother. She knew that Miss Brule and Miss Francis had a passion for making sure that our community, our little kids, could read and write. And I'm going to bring race into this because when it all boiled down to it, at that time, it was the only people who could really make a difference in our culture was us. So they created their own homeschool. And I thank God that our grandmother saw the beauty in us attending at 4 years old. And so the passion started then. And we could never understand why Miss Brule and Miss Francis were so passionate about learning our ABCs, early reading at 4 years old, writing your name. Oh, you remember? You alumni too?
Well, actually, as you're speaking, see, I went to Miss Julia Hawthorne.
Okay.
And amazing woman. I mean, she disciplined, but she also loved us. And you know, just remembering those things as a little girl and what I learned and how prepared I was for first grade. Because, see, when I grew up in my era, there was no, it wasn't heard of pre-K. It was just kindergarten. Miss Julia took, I can remember my mom said she had to go back to work. So then Miss Julia was taking babies. So she started keeping me at 6 weeks old when my mom had to go back to school. But she also had other, you know, kids in there. So imagine 6 weeks old all the way up to age 5 or close to 6. Because back then you started first grade at 6 years old.
That's
See, so I did kindergarten with Miss Julia. So I was well prepared for first grade when I got there. So I totally, you know, understand.
And so we were very obedient. Spent time in church. Miss Vicki Hopper, I don't know if you know Miss Vicki Hopper here in Milledgeville. She taught us vocational Bible school, so we were able to read early. But things began to shift. When you go to school, you're obedient, but when you go home, your parents only ask the question, if you know, of the teachers, were you good today? It was really no backup. So you just had that value system associating learning with a school building, okay? You got a good report card, you go with the flow. As you go through high school, you get to college, and you realize something. Oh, my goodness, why are we failing? How is it that we could be so obedient in school, but we're failing? And then we began to open the history books. And we understood that in our community, and this is not a monolith, I understand that.
It's not a monolith.
But with some of us, we had to experience that term, bamboozlement, okay? Because there was no true knowledge, okay?
And to take it a step further, because I did attend public school here in Milledgeville, but what I found when I went to school and I look at my children, you know, being a older mom and looking at my children in school, the difference that I see as a parent is a lot of my teachers that I had especially when I got to middle school, which was, and then of course we had junior high, and then we had high school. A lot of those teachers that was still teaching that looked like me, they taught my mother.
Same with us.
My mother.
Same with
in
us.
high
That's
school.
how it was.
Same with
And
us.
so they were very, very adamant and passionate about our education. And they didn't say, okay, I'm going to tell your mom. They got on
They
to
took
you.
care of it.
Yes.
They did. They took care of
You know,
everything.
so discipline
Right.
was there.
Right.
And so we knew, okay, I ain't worried about whether she going to tell my mama.
That's right.
I don't want to deal with
That's right.
her.
That's
you know,
right.
I had teachers like Miss Slater, Miss DeVoe, Miss Brannon, all of these amazing African American educators.
Yes.
And the love that they had for us. And then, you know, growing up here in, you know, Baldwin County, majority of the people that went to school was us.
Gotcha.
Our counterparts, they were sending their children to private schools. But our teachers then was more concerned, as I should say, about our education
Yes.
and preparing us for the future. So with that being said, one of the questions that I want to ask is, what are some of the this is what I want to ask. How can schools be tailored to meet the cultural and emotional needs of our students in our community while ensuring academic success?
Okay.
What we learned, I want to say this
Okay,
first,
okay. All right,
just to piggyback on what I'm really trying to bring this all together as far as bamboozlement is concerned.
Okay.
What we all have to do, whether we are aware of it or not, because none of the teachers go home to the real reality. And I know you have to keep up with the syllabus, but we must teach kids at an early age how to take self-responsibility and learn how to teach themselves. As you give them information, they can take the information on to the next level.
That's right.
It is imperative that we teach them early how to teach themselves, and that strong value for education has to be embedded, and the passion, the assertiveness, because that's one thing that I realized that a lot of our teachers had. They were extremely assertive. We had no idea where that passion came from, but as we got older, we understood that it was very important to maintain that assertiveness throughout their learning, so they can keep that value system
throughout their lives,
throughout their lives.
adulthood.
It's an ongoing process.
Because one thing that at Twins Academy, our goal, yes, we do have a student who graduated from Ivy League, and the kids that are in the Marines. Okay, so our goal is to teach kids to serve worthy purposes in society.
Exactly.
So they don't have to. I think our purpose in life is to make the world look better for others. Okay, so to go back to how do we keep it going, I often think of a teacher, and I'm going to name drop because I want her to know just how much she has to do with why Deanna and I are so personal with the student, Miss Rosie.
Miss Rosie, I was going to mention her as well.
One thing about Miss Rosie at West End Elementary, we were young, and we never forgot
Miss
her
Rosie.
level of nurturing.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Miss Rosie read to us as if we were her own children.
And she was a whole nother culture.
She did not, regardless of what you went home to, she treated her classroom like it was a home school.
She did.
Okay. She didn't, you could have gone home to some of the worst parents, but her stance on education and reading, she knew that reading transports you out of your situation. She understood that I'm just going to lead by example. She wasn't, typical radical or anything. She just was loving. She didn't make you feel like an outcast if you didn't come from a certain background, because there are teachers, that did make us feel like that. That if you didn't come from a certain background, if they got to keep repeating things over and over, they gave up on you. So I'm glad that we went through a lot of that, because it gave us compassion.
It did.
So it gave us compassion for the students, that if you have to repeat things, there's nothing wrong with repetition. Because, there's a difference between being redundant. I know that we can repeat things over and over until you get it. Because God is like that with us. He's like that. He's like, look, sister, you may be getting up there in age, but I'm still having to tell you things over and over, so have some compassion.
Right.
So one thing that I learned from her, to answer your question, what takes it on, is to have compassion for the students in the classroom, regardless of where they come from. And one thing about that we have learned from, and like Deanna used before, everything that we're saying is not monolithic when it comes to our culture. This awareness that we're talking about, there may be a percentage, I don't know the percentage, of us
but I know it's a lot.
That can't understand, well, we didn't go through that. I had parents, grandparents, great-grandparents that graduated from college. I mean, once you start paying attention to dates, okay, you start paying. I was wearing 1908 on my chest forever, but didn't even get the concept until literally we started Twins Academy, that you got to pay attention to dates. You got to start reading. You got to start understanding that, sweetheart, y'all are so behind. And I'm so glad that somebody dropped. I'm sad that somebody dropped the ball on you guys. But sweetheart, we have no clue about what you all are talking about. Our grandparents are college graduates. And we're like, really? And you're sitting here and you're not connected.
Connected. That's the word.
We're walking around. Joining sororities, joining fraternities, but you're not connected.
Getting your degrees,
you're getting
multiple
your
degrees, but you're still bamboozled.
But you're not connected, that you're still not human.
That's right.
You're still on all fours.
That's
you're
right.
still not upright.
That's right.
So after that, it crushed us. So if you really want to know why our students are so successful, because our pain, it hurts to know that you work so hard. But you're running around with your head cut off. You're like, okay, really?
Yeah.
This is why we failed? For something this simple? And
Just
it brings
simply
the first
not knowing
thing that's
your
going to
history.
come
Yeah.
is rage. But God, I promise you, I've had to
calms
fall
the
on my
storm.
knees so many times for him to show me, let me use it. Take up your cross and walk. Let me show you what to do. You can sit and play the blame game all day long, but you're grown now. You're grown now. You have to learn to take responsibility and say, okay, because it's good that you are aware, because I'm entrusting you with my next generation. So it's good that you are an aware leader, but you've got to become aware of the past
So you can
understand the present, so you can prepare for the future. And while you're doing that, simultaneously, you got to take these kids with you.
Yeah.
And then he said, now calm down, put your ego down, because what you're doing is what Booker T and all of them had to do.
Period.
So whereas you want to be compared with some of these leaders that you feel are so sophisticated, I'm sorry that y'all had to start over to where Booker T. Washington them start over. So that's how we like to look at ourselves, that we are the pioneers, that those are the leaders that we're pulling from.
Yeah.
You know, so we're misunderstood a whole lot, but we could care less. We follow God. It's all about our students. And that is how we keep it going from year after year after year after year, Miss Karen.
And I mean, this is, oh my goodness, I'm just loving this because, you know, just seeing and understanding education, and even down to the point of just being, you know, we always say knowledge is key. Knowledge is key, but wisdom
It is.
is the greatest
Absolutely.
of all. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, but where is your wisdom?
Yeah, and life gives you that. Life will teach you.
The thing about
Life will
it
teach you.
that I have learned as a parent, not relying on our school system or our education system, not only, you know, to teach my children and to prepare them, you know, for the future, but as a parent, understanding the importance of equipping my children with wisdom. Because you can have all the knowledge, but if you ain't got no wisdom,
That's right.
then that knowledge is just what it is.
Exactly. And that's what I love. That's what I love when I see our kids who are excelling and soaring out there. You can clearly see that they see, oh, wow, this is why Miss April and Miss Deanna were like this. And now they're getting the wisdom because life is teaching them.
Exactly.
Life is teaching them because the system they're only going to go so far because, you know, people become litigious. But I'm going to tell you something.
That's so true, Deanna.
In our setting, we got to fight the good fight of faith like Martin Luther King and the rest of them and Harriet and all of them because if we don't do it, no one else will.
Right.
And we already know that the streets will take care of the rest.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, year after year, we're losing so many of our young folk. You look at the news, it's terrible the way we're losing our kids because parents won't connect and understand when you have passionate teachers who give that assertive discipline to help not just the student, but you to grow as well. See, at Twins Academy, we not only help the children,
That's a great point.
we also add to the parents.
That's right.
Okay? So it's a family affair when it comes to Twins Academy.
Really is.
And so I will ask this question because a lot of our viewers out there are parents. What would you say? Because there may not be a Twins Academy in their community. They may not have teachers or April and Deanna that's passionate about our students, our children, in our community, what would you say to them to help or begin to steer them in the right direction of understanding what their children or what our community needs? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Hi, I'm Pastor Richard Larkin. I help pastors, preachers, ministry workers, lay leaders, and educators add value to their communities by learning to write the right book. I'm the author of What Do I Do Next? 10 Steps to Becoming Who God Created You to Be. And I created that book as a guide onto how to win in your personal relationships as well as in your relationship with God. For me, it was the answer to a question that I asked myself during a season of darkness when I was unsure and uncertain of which way I needed to go. If you want to connect with me, please visit 6daycontent.com. That is the number 6. So it's www.6daycontent.com. Look forward to connecting with you. God bless.
One thing we have a free library.
Yes.
You go grab some library cards. You have that librarian. And I'm telling you, reading is the magic key to take you where you want to be. And even if you're not the best reader, see, April and I are also authors. We have the Twins View book series. So if you can't come to Twins Academy, you can purchase a book. And learn how we.
I love it.
You understand? You can purchase our books because that's what we do in our books. We teach and we give advice and we give the information. We actually add a couple of stories that give you the recipe of how it works. My first book I wrote, Is It Time for School Yet? Is so relative to parents who feel lost, who feel like they can't help their kids or be that support system at home. April has her first book.
About bullying.
With confidence, there's nothing to fear.
Right.
So that's the key. Start with the library first.
That's right.
That's how you can help your child every single day. Just like we go to the gym and work out, we got to work.
Tell them.
Yeah.
Tell them again.
Just like we go to the gym and work out, let's use those library cards.
Yes,
It's free. Let's
yes,
use it.
yes.
That's something we do have
And
in our community.
And to touch the books.
Yeah, touch books. Read.
I use Audible. I use every platform, everything that we
Yes,
can. Okay.
yes.
But going to the library, actually picking up books, that's you can call it old school all you want to. It is the best thing
works.
for children. It really does
It
work.
turns
Early
on,
literacy
yes.
is everything.
It's very
but
important.
to parents, first of all, we want to let parents know everything that we've said to you all may sound overwhelming. However, you got to do what we did. You got to tell yourself the truth. You got to lose age because we're timeless. And you got to get started. My advice to a parent who would listen to what we're saying and say, I'm not in Lithonia, Georgia to go to the Twins Academy. I would say to you, make a list of things that you want to do to better yourself. You got to keep it real with yourself. If you're not a great reader, there is too many sources in 2025 to help you become a better reader. I don't know how to bond with the kids. That's where the Holy Spirit comes from. So there is no magic potion. You're going to have to keep it real. You're going to have to fall to your knees and you're going to have to find out what God is telling you to do. And you'll be amazed how much you teach yourself and how it will catapult you to the next level in your life.
It's spiritual.
When you keep it real with yourself, to thine own self be true. So if you don't lie to yourself and you are not how can I put it? Afraid of rejection, like we talked about this morning.
Yes.
Afraid of rejection because we are insecure in so many areas still.
Rightfully so.
Because we're in the process of remodeling the schools, and even though we started the Twins Academy Foundation, doing Twins Academy Inc., the profit side was so much easier because we had so many people believing in us. But when we ended up getting Twins Academy Foundation, that's a whole nother work of art that you got to work, you got to activate. So just knowing that you got to speak. This podcast, the reason we came, this is our very, very first podcast.
Yes.
So we were very nervous. We all look.
Let's
Some
see.
people are going to get mad because you're not the first to
Yes,
ask.
because we're doing our best. We don't want to lack diplomacy.
We don't want to lack diplomacy. We never wanted to incriminate ourselves by
Absolutely.
speaking because we
Yeah.
had so much rage.
Yeah, and-
so
and-
that had to give us some decorum.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
it.
hoping that
That's right.
that you all see decorum, you
Yeah.
know, but we gotta say we can't worry about what people think about
But
us.
Yeah.
I also believe in let's keep it real.
Let's keep
Okay.
it real. We
Because,
have to. We really do.
This is, there are so many things in our culture and in our community that we lack. Education is one.
Awareness.
I mean, and the list go on. But when you talk about education, healthcare, finances, all of these things, there's so many things that we lack in our community. So quite naturally, and I, even with some of these other episodes that I've done, it's not about race. It's all about educating my community. It's about educating those that look like me, to equip them for what they need, because God has already declared greatness in all of us. And He desires the best
Yes.
for us.
Exactly.
So, and to go back to what you're saying when you're talking about reading, and and it's sad, and some people may say, okay, well, that's just a cliche, but no, it's not.
It's not at all.
They have said, put it in a book, and they will read
And
it.
they
right.
won't read it.
That's
And
right.
that's
Because
true.
we don't want to read.
That's right.
We want everybody. We want people to tell us everything. We want things to just be handed to us. Or we want, okay, this is what you got to do. Step one. But no, you got to read.
Yes, yes.
Hear me. You have got to read.
It's the magic key.
It's reading. We say it's fundamental,
Yes, it
but
is.
reading is so important.
Yes,
And I can remember staying on, to my girls about reading, and now they are young adults, young ladies, and now they have taken the initiative. And they're reading on their own. And a lot of that, not only because they are getting their secondary, or they're going through secondary education now, but they also have the mindset of entrepreneurship because of what they see in their in our home through their parents.
It's important.
And so now they're doing their own research and reading up on certain things, and just keeping it real with my girls, especially African American, being an African American woman. I mean, it's bad just being an African American, but there are still some ways to go, even as African American women. And so I just keep it real with my children, and it's not to throw the race card, but it is to give them the reality of what's out there in the real world.
That's right.
So one thing that I love to tell people, it doesn't matter how much education you have, there is nobody that will intimidate me through a conversation.
That's right.
I love it.
It doesn't
I love
matter how much education you had. Doesn't matter that you may have a doctorate degree or
Absolutely.
whatever, and I only went to trade school, but I guarantee you, I can communicate with you
Yes.
and converse with you
Amen.
as if I had the same doctorate degree that you have.
Because you don't associate education with a school building. That's what we
Exactly.
tell
That's
you.
what we.
Don't
That's
associate
how
it
we
with
do,
the school
and we
building.
tell
I
our
love
kids
it.
absolutely.
And I tell my children
it's
that.
life.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're
Oxygen.
always enunciating and articulating your words.
Yes, I
Because
love it.
do people form an opinion
Yes.
yes.
Oh, yes.
about you
Oh, yes.
when you
Oh,
begin
yes.
to speak?
Absolutely.
Of course they do.
Absolutely.
Is it right? Of course not.
It's not.
But the reality of it is they
They
do.
do. They
So there's nobody that I can sit at a table with that will intimidate me. because I can speak with you and articulate with you and converse with you. You wouldn't know what my education level was unless I told you. So, and that's one thing that's important for us to even in our community, with our children,
But we have to become aware of everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to become aware of why am I so comfortable with not knowing. Well, you have to be aware of where that comes from. And when you see the ugliness of what happened to our culture, you're going to be playing catch up.
Yeah,
for
and
the
that's
rest of your
a
life.
very hard game to play.
Playing
Very
catch up
hard
is
game
a
to
very
play.
hard game to play. But I love the book, The Power of Now, and you just got to take it one day at a time, 1 second at a time. And all I can say to our people out there is Godspeed. But you have to become aware of
first.
why
You're in
you
your
don't like
position.
this. And I can't stand to hear people say, I don't like to read. And even if you don't like to read, I love audibles and I love this. I'm not going to put anybody down or whatever.
please don't.
But the key is that when people say that, especially being in our skin color, they don't understand
You gotta know
where
why,
that comes
where it
from.
comes
from.
You don't know the ugliness of it. Now,
that
Deanna and
sounds.
I, we pull our roots. The brand new roots is great, but the one with Kunta Kinte, with LeVar Burton, that's the roots that we had to analyze. And God bless my father's soul, Otis Thomas Jr. He introduced roots to us when we were younger, but we found out that he just put it in front of us, and we were like, we don't have a clue what's going on. But
So we had to go back and analyze. Yes, very
I
important.
realized that you were going to need it.
Need it.
my.
Yeah, let's thank God
Now,
he
I
Thank God
exposed
he
it
exposed
to
it.
us.
Because all we remember was the foot getting cut off. That's
it.
all we remember
So-
was
so
that.
thank God he exposed it to
Yeah,
us.
thank God that he at least
Exactly.
exposed.
Yeah.
And see, my dad, I have at the school. I still have his whole list of National Geographic
And Reader's
My father,
Digest. He
Reader's
was a reader.
Digester. I mean Digest, right?
Digest.
Yeah, it is old school. Nobody reads anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he was smart now. Yeah.
was
Yes,
so
he
intelligent.
was.
Yes.
He was the first person to teach us not to associate education with the school building.
Yeah, we can
because
remember that.
he loved reading, but you also have to look at the dates and the time that they grew up.
Exactly.
Because it was taken away and segregation was so prevalent back then, they wanted it more. And I hate saying, do those days have to come back in order for us to value?
Yeah.
You got a word? You got a word?
Yeah.
I mean,
and I have to give a
does it
shout
really
out
have
to
come
our
back?
teachers in Hancock County.
Oh, yes.
One thing about them, they were extremely passionate about history, but once again, because to me, we didn't really get it, I guess times were different for us in high school, so we thought they were kind of crazy, but they were trying their best to stuff it down our throats.
Yes, they
but I
were.
got to give
They were.
Hancock County teachers
really do.
the credit
We
for
gotta
at
give them a
least
shout out.
making
Their
sure that
passion.
we understood. I mean, we did our reports, but the passion was there. We just didn't understand it.
Understand.
Yeah.
And so you know what, ladies? I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
I look. I'm just gonna go ahead on and say it. There will be a part 2. to
Yeah,
this.
it's a never-ending story.
And because I'm telling you, this has been so empowering and truly understanding the importance of education in our community. And like I said, every community does. I take that back. There is an April, Indiana, in every
community.
That's true.
It is.
There
It
is
is.
an April, Indiana, in every community. So I hope and I pray that this episode will spark somebody that's out there that's passionate about our children in our community. And once again, ladies, thank y'all so very much for being a part of this. And before we close, can you, because I know y'all have a whole lot going on. I have because, and that's a whole nother episode is April bougie cuisines.
Yes.
So, but tell people how, they can reach out just in case, somebody may have a question. Somebody may want to start, something in their community. And you heard it here. They started out homeschooling with 12 kids in their garage. And one thing that I forgot to ask you, as you know, we're wrapping up. So what grades do you guys have at the academy now?
It's K5 through 12th grade.
Okay.
K5 through 12th grade.
So K5.
K5 through 12th grades, we use the Abeka curriculum as a conduit for accreditation. If you want to visit our website, you can go to twinsacademyfoundation.org. That's TWINS foundation.org, twinsacademyfoundation.org. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as Twins Academy, on everything. Twins Academy Inc. on everything. And Twins View book series. Don't forget about Twins View books.
Tell them how to get a book. Tell them.
Okay, you can go to Amazon. You can go to Amazon.com and you can order our books. With Confidence, There's Nothing to Fear.
By April Thomas.
Is It
Time for School Yet? By Deanna Shamsuddin. That's the name.
You guys make sure you go to Amazon and get a copy of their books. But I know that your guys are, they're getting their new school. And so tell the viewers, tell the listeners out there that want to be a blessing to you guys, how can they make a contribution or contribute to what it is that you guys are doing?
Okay. At the present time, we're seeking out sponsors to help us remodel and add on to our existing buildings to create more dedicated learning centers, spaces for the students that we have and students to come. We're located in Lithonia. You can go to twinsacademyfoundation.org to donate. But at the time, we are looking for sponsorships to help us have our first gala on April the 12th this year.
And you're going to be getting more information through the podcast, so stay tuned for that.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, I thank you guys. Thank you, April and Deanna, for such an amazing topic, for just sharing light. I know you guys, I know you ladies, not guys, beautiful women of color. I know that you ladies are truly, truly amazing. But what, in 30 seconds or less, leave either a word of wisdom, something imparting, something that you can impart in our viewers out there, something that will inspire, encourage, empower them to want more in their community. Okay. And we'll start with you first. Okay. Deanna.
I will say, always raise the bar in your life. Have a strong respect for life. And in that respect for life, the Holy Spirit will lead you to create and be the best in your community.
Hope, faith, and love, people. You got to hold on to hope. You got to have faith and love. Like I said before, take personal responsibility and be self-reliant. Those are the traits that are going to be responsible for your success.
Amen.
Well, we thank you, ladies, for being a part. It has truly been a blessing and an amazing opportunity to sit here. I feel honored and privileged to understand and know that, you the first. You heard them first here on Sista-to-Sista. So, thank you. And in closing, always remember, as I often say, that you got to live in peace to be at peace. And I thank you, and you all have a beautiful, peaceful, loving, and amazing day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so you said, your books. So show us or tell us about.
Okay, my first book from the Twins View book series is It Time for School Yet? It's by Deanna Shamsuddin, illustrated by Reginald Stanley and Jalen Davis.
Awesome.
And same here with mine. Mine is called With Confidence There's Nothing to Fear, and it's Twins View on bullying. And all the proceeds go to the Twins Academy Foundation. They're all dedicated to the foundation funding to build our new school. And Prelay's Bougie Cuisine is also a fundraiser as well.
So you heard it best. So make sure you go to Amazon, get your copy. As a matter of fact, order 10 or more. Order some and take them to your children's classroom and donate it to the classroom. As a matter of fact, donate it because our children need to see themselves in a book.
Yes.
So thank you, ladies.
And thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support. TwinsAcademyFoundation.org, Amazon.com.
Yes.
I hope and I pray that you got something out of that amazing episode, empowering our future, the importance of education, and creating schools in our community. We hope that you were inspired to take action, support education initiatives in your community. Remember, education is the key to an empowerment. And when we invest in our children's future, we build a stronger tomorrow. So be sure to subscribe, like, and share. And until the next time, keep empowering, keep lifting, and keep building. Stay tuned. This episode is sponsored by Karina's Design Studio and Showroom